Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Fins Faithful podcast. Happy Monday, happy Memorial Day. Hopefully everybody had a great and happy and healthy Memorial Day weekend. I know our partner here, Jason, was cooking up some burgers and hot dogs on the griddle. I hope everybody had a long, nice weekend. Still are enjoying it with friends and family. But we got a big show for you today. As you see, I got four friends of the program, but more importantly, four friends of mine. We're gonna get into some Ramsey mock trades. There's been news out there that by Jeremy Fowler of ESPN that some teams are kind of narrowing the search, some teams that are interested. So I thought we'd throw about 4, 5, 6 trades up there, kind of get our thoughts and chat. You're welcome to join and give your opinion. And shout out to the dive bar that's in here. How you doing, buddy?
Yeah, Bobby.
Bobby, they got great stuff coming up. I believe they got a show tomorrow, I think. So make sure you check the dive bar podcast out. But we're also going to get into the whole, we can't ignore it. I tried, guys. We can't ignore the whole drama that's going on in social media, with the beat writers and all the content creators. And I think I think there's a bigger picture we need to raise here and kind of a bigger question that's which reality is actually what's happening. So we'll get into all that. And let me introduce the guys that are going to help me. Of course, we have Jason Sarn, my co-host on the on season. We have Sammy from Fins TV. And we have Jonathan, him as Honorary Titan on X. Fellas.
Yep.
How you doing this evening?
Good.
Are you guys ready for the show? Jason, how did the grill? Let's evaluate your griddling experience. You busted the Blackstone out. How was that? How did
What's the menu, Jason? What's the menus?
It was good. We went standard burgers and hot dogs. Some people wanted the full works with the cooked onions and the American cheese. Some people wanted just a nice, well done burger. I'm to order, everybody. I'm to order. It was a success.
So no casualties, all success. Everybody's good and filled and hungry. Now we're ready to get into the grind here of the show. Okay, so I guess I'll start here and we'll open up here again. We'll get into the Ramsey stuff in a minute. But as you all know, like I mentioned at the top of the show, there's been a lot of back and forth on social media between some of the content creators and some of the beat writers clashing. You guys know all the names. I don't need to tell you if you've been on X or Twitter, you've seen it all. I'm sure you all know the people who are involved. And honestly, like I said, I initially didn't want to speak on this because it didn't involve me and because I think the whole thing personally was a little bit embarrassing the way it played out. But, to each their own. But people want to discuss this, and that's fair. Again, it's a slow time, full transparency here. Between now and the start of the season, this is the slowest news time, not just for the Dolphins, but in the NFL. However, I do think there's one positive thing that this does, and it sparks the discussion of the difference, between the beat writers and the content creators and kind of what our roles are now and becoming. It's something I never focused on, the difference, because I always saw it as completely two different worlds and two different responsibilities. But so that leads me to my point, but why I started this. And I want to start by explaining my vision when I started this show as a newer content creator, podcaster, however you want to call it. I made a promise to myself to do everything possible. I leave nothing on the table to provide the most information I can to you guys from all angles. And I hope you guys see that. I hope it transmits. That's the one thing I hope transmits to the microphone when you watch this show is my passion, my hard work, and the heart I put in it to give you guys the best possible product. I hope you've seen it with the draft shows, the shows with the on season with Jason, the shows that I do with Sammy, and I've had Jonathan on. And that will be my focus, and that will never change. All right. I will leave the soap opera stuff for the other people. But again, if there's something I don't like or I don't agree with, I won't hesitate to speak my mind and share my opinion. But I think the bigger picture, and that we're going to talk about today, is that I do have to start acknowledging the two worlds are now colliding more and more. Not just on social media, but on the shows like this with more collaborations happening. You see the other shows like The Collective now that has content creators and some of the big beat writers together. I look at this as only a positive thing. I think it makes us more relevant who are content creators, and it puts us in the ball game now. So I say buckle up because we're ready. And let's let the fun begin. Let my guys get in here and share their opinion. I hope that was a good opening rant. That should get some thumbs up. Thumbs up and likes and subscribes. Hopefully that was a good opening rant. Sammy will tell me later if it was good or not. But all right. So let's start with you, Jason. All right. because you come from both sides of the table here. You are a content creator. You're a podcaster. You come on shows with me. You do other shows, but you also have been in the press box, write for USA Today. So this is kind of, you give a unique perspective on both sides, some of the differences, some of the restrictions, and kind of how these two worlds, like I mentioned, are becoming more of a reality and they're coming more on a level playing field. So I'll open the floor to you, Mr. Jason Sarn.
Thank you, George. Your rant was fantastic. And of course, Jonathan, Sammy, and everyone out there, thank you for joining us. A very happy, healthy Memorial Day. Important day today. So of course we remember of those who made those sacrifices. So moving to what has been around, this beat writer, this content creator war, Sammy, you're wearing a hat that says 1984. So this was not a 1984 problem. This was not a 1994 problem. All of a sudden, you have the age of information, social media pops up, and then there are not necessarily armchair quarterbacks. There are people sitting in chairs knowing that they could do or want to do certain things that would have been unheard of back in the 80s or 90s. So when you have folks who are aspiring to go on shows or write or cover this team, the access and the quickness that it could happen, it's remarkable. But what really should be said first and foremost is I have to thank people before us, content creators, the beat writers, the people before the internet, your Andy Cohns, who would stay hours after a football game to get Dolphins Digest out, your Barry Jacksons, your Dave Hydes, your OGs who have been so welcoming to folks like myself, personal experience. These are individuals who I've idolized and gotten enough guts to say hi. And they actually said, "Hi, Jason, how you doing?" It was fantastic. So there are definitely those who know that these worlds are colliding. And, what differentiates us is that they have firsthand access, clearly. It's their eyes that are putting it out there on the socials that are allowing us, in most cases, obviously there are scenarios where you might hear it second degree, 1.5 degree from separation, what have you. But mostly it's these guys on the beat. They are the roller coaster EKG, the beat of the franchise. That's why they're called beat writers. You have columnists, you have reporters, you have guys on television. You have all these different types of folks who are giving us the ability to do what we love. So I thank them wholeheartedly. And to content creators, do it right. Collaborate, do not hate. That is my main thing. And if you do that, this is a big ocean. There's enough eyes for everyone. There's not a competition as much as there is, let's make each other better. Let's help each other. Let's pick each other up. You have a great show? Come on. Someone's doing something else? Give George a call. He'll hop on. Give Sammy, one of the best people in the business. Collaborate with people, folks. Don't try to separate from people. We're all in this at the same team. When I just came in here in 2019, I was all, everyone's going to just love each other and just be collaborative with each other. Unfortunately, that's not necessarily the case. But look, everyone's different. Everyone's got their own model. But if you're respectful, if you're consistent with what your message is and what you're trying to do and not trying to harm people, the more the merrier. And I hope there's more collaboration. I really do, between beat writers and content creators. But they are the front lines, 1,000%.
Yeah, so I agree with you. And again, I grew up sports radio days as a teenager. Hank Goldberg, Jim Mandich, Joe Rose, the first team with Steve Goldstein and why am I his name's escaping me? Steve Shapiro was on there, who was on the local news guy, Chappie. Like and all the beat writers, I used to have to, I couldn't wait for Sports Extra to come on Channel 7, right? Like now it's different. I have the platform. Yeah, Default. Thank you, Cap. What I'm so grateful of is I could, this was a kind of a dream of mine to always get involved and kind of have a show like this, whether you want to call it a sports radio show, whatever it is, a platform. And I'm so grateful to be able to do this, and anybody can do it. Jonathan, you're somebody who wants to do this, and I encourage you to do it. You have the choice. And I say this, if you put in the work and you really love what you're doing, most of the time, good results are going to come out. And I said, if a one person or 1,000, and I mean this when I say this, puts their eyes on this show for a second, because your time is valuable and you got plenty of better things to do than watch me here, right? Make a fool of myself. But and you got plenty.
Hey, that's my job.
and you got 100 other Dolphin podcasts who some are really good that nobody knows about. Like I come across some that are really good. I'm not here to say I'm the best, but I know one thing, and you guys know me. I'm not going to be outworked, and that's what. That's my only advantage I have, right? I don't have access to media. I don't have access to players. I don't have access to the coaches, the practice facilities, and the sources. I don't have that. I'll admit that. And so, but what I will tell you is when it comes to evaluating players or doing things or putting up graphics or shows or ideas, I'm going to leave everything on the table. I've always said that. And before I get to bounce around here, I hear the argument of, and this is the one thing I will call out, the argument of, oh, I know X's and O's better than you. I know this better than you. Guess what? Who knows better, the beat writers or the content creators? It's a simple answer. It better be us, because I can't give you player interviews. I can't give you press conference. I can't be in the press box, but I damn sure can put on film and grind and give you a draft board, draft content, player evaluations, mock trades, show recaps, all that stuff. I can do that. That's what I'm in control of. So yeah, I better be better than Omar Kelly, Joe Shad at X's and O's, because they have a lot more. They're starting the game ahead of me. They have a lot more tools than I do. I don't have it. And yes, some beat writers get lazy and content. I will admit that. But so do some content creators. But you know what? I know I don't. So that's my superpower. And that's how I look at it. And that's how the type of people I bring on my show. It's like guys like you who I know that share the same vision. I don't know why I'm on like a rant here kind of a thing, but like that's kind of where I come from, because that's all I know, man. I hope the viewers see that. I know you guys see that with me. That's why you guys become friends of mine, and kind of Jason decided to do it. You know, I'm not patting myself on the back, but like it takes work. And so I'm not here to tell me who's better breaking down a player, because true is, I don't know, right? The results it's really hard to find accountability, because a lot of people will throw so much smoke in your face that you don't know really what the truth is, you know? So, so that's my little thing on this whole subject. We better be giving you draft breakdowns, X's and O's, player film, because last time I checked, there's not a ton of podcasters, content creators going to interview Jordan Brooks, Zach Sealer in Davie. So, or not Davie anymore, but you know what I mean? At Hard Rock Stadium in the facility.
Miami Gardens.
Yeah, Miami Gardens. So, unless I'm mistaken, we haven't done that. So that's with that. That's my thought on that. All right, Jason, you have anything to add right now, or we move on to Mr. Finn Sammy?
Just the more the merrier. Cover it the right way. And I guess one thing that I would love, if we have this platform, there was once this idea of really, collaborating the content creators intertwined with media. I have to thank the man to have made that possible, Jason Jenkins, who opened the door for many people. I really hope that comes back. Because that is a man who was able to check off multiple people's dreams. He's a dream maker, all right? And there could be kids growing up wanting to do it, and I hope that they get an opportunity. I 5 times I crossed that door into the press room, and it was the greatest experience. So
you never forget one of those times.
And I hope that the Dolphins organization knows, make a media row one week, bring it back with Fan Weekend, get 5, 6, 8, 9 podcasters sprinkled across, let them broadcast, bring them in, integrate. I think there is room for that. I think there was a plan for it, and I hope there could once again be that plan. So it's happened before, and I hope it happens again.
Sarn knows. Shout out to Cap. Shout out to everybody in the chat. If you're watching anywhere, come on over to YouTube, guys. Make sure you subscribe and give us a thumbs up. That's the one thing that we don't ask for much, but it shows your appreciation. It helps the algorithm of the show, gets us more support, and we appreciate everybody in the chat. Finn's Talk Sports Network, Bobby, both the Bobbies, the Dive Bar, also friends of mine. These are kind of the guys that I've kind of grown close to. You see on this screen and also in this chat, and there's a reason for that, because they share the same thoughts and philosophies that I do. All right, Mr. Finn Sammy, you've been quiet enough. I will have to admit, Sammy's one of the ones that inspired me to like let's touch the subject, right? And we talked backstage. Now,
well, you saw what I wrote the other day.
Yeah. So the floor is yours, Sammy. You are maybe the best producer. You're one heck of a producer. The things you do for Fins TV, and I think you don't even realize how capable you are of doing other things. You sell yourself short. So the floor is yours, Mr. Sammy.
First, thank you, George. You're too kind. But first of all, happy Memorial Day. Of course, in the day we remember those who make the ultimate sacrifice for the country we love. I'm so proud to be an American citizen. I love this country. I'm in Puerto Rico, but we are born American citizens. So for me, it's huge. So for those who gave that, my grandfather, so many others who served and gave maybe the ultimate sacrifice we made here today. Well, I'm gonna start making talking about my own story. When I'm gonna age myself, but it needs to be said. When I went to college, the internet was not really available over here. So if you want to get your news on the Dolphins, you become a Dolphin fan in an island where American football was not the primary sport. Of course, baseball, basketball, boxing over here is huge, but football is something different. So I can tell you where the first time I saw Amarito throw the football, it's like, what's this? I fell in love right there, and then I went to a store in Orlando, Florida. I saw a Dan Marino jersey on the window. I say, I gotta get that. See something. By the way, when they brought it here, it was X large, so it was huge on me, so I could not even wear it. But I digress. So when I went to college over here, the internet was not really available. So if you wanted to get the news on the Dolphins, I had to go to the university library to wait for the Miami Herald on Fridays to read about Edwin Pope and Dan Levatar and Armando Salguero. I love those guys. Their passion for writing. I started when I went to college. I was going to be a lawyer, but a detour in life brought me to other things that where I'm very happy about. But when I was in college, I wanted to do the Dolphins, the sporting news, so many great articles on all platforms. But you needed to get a newspaper, to find a way to read all news in just one day. Of course, today you had the internet. I'm gonna ask myself, I'm gonna, oh man, but it's true now. Every the news is right in your hand. Everybody has access to news. So being a media member was more difficult, was special. They had to do their due diligence. They had to do their job. They had a code of standards. If they didn't do what they need to do, Don Shula was gonna. Mando has a story in his book how Don Shula chewed him up for writing a story. They had a code of conduct. They did investigative reporting. They had sources. They took that very seriously. I'm not gonna take shots tonight by name. I'm gonna try to not any one member of the Dolphins media. But when you have reporters that basically don't know the roster, don't know the numbers, don't know if the players is in this year or not, don't know the schedule, that's part of their job. If their sources is reading what Adam Schefter said, that's not having sources. Orlando Salguero, right? Bigo.
Yeah.
He has to this day, he still has sources. I see better sources than most of the ones in the media right now. It has credible sources. Armando, who's not in the Dolphins media right now, still has some sources. So when you have the local media today and they get mad because you call them out on an article because what they say is basically wrong or you defer, and to say face all they do is block you, that's not bound by the code of conduct. That's wrong. I'm not going to say anything about the people. Of course, if you insult a reporter, if you insult a media member, you deserve to be blocked by that. But if all you do is question what they said because you have a different opinion or you want them to explain what they're claiming, and they block you to say face, that's taking advantage, the wrong way to take advantage of the privilege you have of being a media member, in my opinion. You're a reporter. It's different to be a journalist and a reporter. We have reporters right now. That's my opinion. They have access to a press box. They had access to interviews. But basically, other than that, and the buffet they had at the stadium, and to go in Joe Rose to claim the great hotel they stayed that night in Buffalo, Kansas City, or wherever, you have the perks. But what are you doing with the perks? That's my problem. They used to talk about the first content creators and people in Twitter, now X, are just fans who pretend to be journalists. Now, they find a way to because they know that they're a dying breed, because we all know newspapers are a dying breed. But that's the truth. I'm not saying that doesn't come from me. Ask anyone. And that one of the purest form of information is newspapers. I love Tony Kornheiser, Michael Wilbon, all those guys. I used to watch the sport reporters on ESPN every Sunday morning because the best source of opinion was there. Those guys were journalists. Those guys were serious. Those guys were pros. And you call them out and they were wrong, you were probably going to get a column saying how they were wrong and they correct themselves. That doesn't happen anymore. They're not bound by the code of conduct. They are reporters. They report the read you said. And now don't get me started on social media, because there are some that come. There's one. I told George I call him the SAT because all he does is ask questions on X. What is it about that? That's not. They're just trying to get reactions from us. They used to say that now they're making collaborations with content creators who they despise, who they talk badly about, who they make fun of. So, of course, now they want to get some of that YouTube money. That's fine. They can do that. But I like even my column.
Yeah.
Because he said, see, now they didn't come there, I wrote a column. I was trying to be sarcastic. So if you're a content creator, again, my plea to you is instead of going year by year saying how you're gonna help other content creators, I'm not taking the shot at one. There have been multiple saying, I'm gonna help the young channels and the small channels, and they don't do anything for us. I consider small because I'm small. So be careful of your alliances with the people in the media, because if they don't respect the fans, they don't respect you. And if right now you really believe in yourself that you're big enough to hang with them just because they need you, you're doing a disfavor to yourself.
Yeah, and it's funny you say that, because now, I used to love waiting to get that paper in the morning and read the article, right? From Armando and all those guys. Jonathan, I'll get to you in a second here.
Not good.
But now it's the print media is dying. So now guess where they got to come? This is the form. It's almost being the hypocrisy of, they used to look down on the content creators, and now they realize, well, this is the platform now. So let me join in with the ones who are the most popular. And
the YouTube money.
Yeah, the YouTube money. So, it's a new game. Like, Jonathan, I'll go to you. You're wanting to put your foot in this game. You mentioned it multiple times to me that you want to start your own. It's changed now, right? You're going to have to deal with the beat writers now, and this is their platform, and it's going to take views away. But that's not the point. What are your thoughts as somebody who wants to start his channel? How do you feel about this whole thing, the drama that's been going on, and does it change the way you feel about going in to creating your own channel, if that's something you still want to do?
Yeah, I mean, it's still something I want to do. To me, like, wanting to start a channel is like, I guess the same reason all of y'all started one originally, is to just talk Dolphins football.
It's hard, man. It's hard just to do that.
I know.
It's like, I've gone back to high school, it seems like.
Yeah.
You're hanging with the cool kids. I'm not.
Hey, you're pretty cool.
I'm
hanging with you.
I'm not. Not you. You hang with me, and you're cool.
Yeah.
But you're the one who's hanging with the cool kids.
I am. With the cool kids. When did I do that?
You hang with the cool kids. No, you hang with the diver. I'm not hanging with the diver. What about me? What about Sammy?
Yeah, those guys. Don't hang out with anybody, man. Anyways,
yeah.
Go ahead.
But no, I mean everybody at this table's cool, just so you know. But
So, Jason's all right. Jason's all right.
Jason's
Jason's
a
the
great
best.
guy.
No, I'm not too bad for Jason.
Okay.
Jason's one of the best, man. I love Jason.
Yeah, he's the best.
We're doing
Yeah.
a content versus content creator bash on the show here. Left side of the screen versus the right side.
Yeah.
No, go ahead.
But yeah, man, it doesn't really change a thing for me. I respect everybody's work. I think it takes a lot of hard work for the content creators, to come up with content each week. A list of things to talk about. Um, to keep it going each week, especially like you said right now, like we're in the slow months of the off season,
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure June's going to be tough until you hit training camp. So I'm sure George, and all content creators, y'all are going to have to pick topics and like find something to talk about. So,
I'd much
it's-
rather be breaking down the defense, like a position group, right? Like,
yeah.
but like you got to talk. You can't ignore the fact what's going on. You know what I mean? Like that's. I tried. You can ask Sammy. I tried.
Like I would imagine, like we're going to be talking camp battles coming up as we lead up to training camp. Like the depth chart, stuff like that. QB2 battles.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's all like that. Who's going to be our starting safety? Like those are all questions.
Is it going to be Quinn Ewers? Is he going to be the backup, Mr. Longhorn?
I'm hoping so. I already got my jersey. I think I told Bobby that already.
What did you do? Get a Fitzpatrick jersey and change the?
No, I actually ordered it and made it. So
you on the website you can custom, right?
Yeah, I was I'm getting that right now. So, but no, man, there's lots to talk about in June. I mean, depth charts. You just got to figure out the content that's gonna work, what's gonna bring views and stuff like that. But go ahead, Sammy.
I want to raise my hand this week. I want to say something. I'll tell you in the chat. I'm gonna say this, and I feel confident about this. The Dolphins universe, Dolphins Nation, has the best content creators overall and the most content creators who are good in the NFL, baseball, NBA, whatever. I'm confident about this. The hardest working, the most creative, the most passionate. Go to somewhere else. You have 2 or 3 who are in the top. I talked to some of you about the tiers. They have some one tiers, but by far the Dolphins content creators, the podcasters, the one who love the game, the one who enjoy we help each other.
Yeah.
Well, the one not the first tier, of course, but Bobby's great for you and he helps you a lot. And I'm not taking shots at anybody, but the ones in the middle help each other. From Adrian Rainey, from you guys, from Bobby Finstock, who's one of the almost in the upper tier. We help each other. We are not at war mostly with each other. There will be some who take shots at each other, but we're not at war with each other. I've been fortunate enough for some content creators to write me the email, how do you do this? How do you do that? I'll try my best to explain to them, to help. I said, Jonathan, if you get into the game, let me know how I can help you. If you really want to help others, there are ways you can help others. But don't say you're going to help others and you don't, and don't. That's what I say about some specific person I'm not going to name.
Yeah, it's most respect to you, Sammy, and most respect to anybody that's willing to help each other out and stuff like.
And it's hard.
So I think
content creating is hard.
I agree.
I'm going to tell you. I know the reporters have deadlines, a very strong deadline. They have a boss who, if they don't do the deadline, they're screwed. I know that.
Yep.
But content creating is hard. To create a video, to create a topic, to create a graphic.
Exactly.
The reporters can, of course, turn on the machine and they have an overlay someone made for them for an hour and they're good. Yep. For us, we have to work extra hard. I'm not saying I'm the best because I know they're far better more than me. But even for me, with who's admittedly mid, it's hard. It's hard. You have to work. If I have there's a game on Sunday. Before I know the result of the game, I have to be working on the previous show, from the overlay, from the video, from what I'm going to do with the highlights. Like those who know me, my guys, Steve, my crew, Steve and the other guys knows I'm working every single day to put some content because I don't pay for it. I don't have someone in Miami Herald for me to do it. I pay for my own subscription to Max. So it's hard. It's not a hobby.
You're absolutely right. Sammy, you're absolutely right. And I think someone in the chat mentioned something that you said, Sammy, is that you can't have it kind of both ways. And to go back to kind of my kind of weirdness, that's very true. Because once you kind of, it's almost like Field of Dreams. Like once you cross the gravel, if you come back, it's different. You're dead almost. Like once you go over that threshold, that should have been the accountability from that point on for me. And there have been points where I reverted back to being just fan again. And you can't dip your toe in both waters consistently. So when you're watching a game as a fan and they lose and you're upset, but you have to do an article of the road win or the loss, the road loss, you got to do it or don't do it. And there have been times that I've kind of jumped out of the game because I didn't know that balance. And thankfully, people like Sammy, people like George have kind of reached back to kind of help me out in that kind of weird juxtaposition that I was living in. But please, if you're going out with this, if you're going to go do something, definitely pick the lane you want. Pick your medium and kind of focus on that and stick in that. You can't have it both ways. I've learned that the hard way, but you got to pick one way.
Yeah,
That's good insight.
I mean, look, that doesn't mean you can't collaborate. I mean, you as an individual who wants to, if you want to be a journalist, and I would love to say that I am, but I'm not.
Jason, for the people who understand, what are the differences? What are the clear differences? The best way you can describe it, because you are on both sides, right?
I would call, if someone would, what are you? I am a writer. I like to write.
Yeah.
Okay. I like to write.
Very good writer, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I agree.
I wish I was that good.
Growing up and in college in my earlier career, I wanted to be on the other side. I wanted to be in media relations. My hero is Harvey Green. Guy, you know what I'm saying? Like, give me a Harvey Green story.
Great
that's the idol. That's the idol,
yeah.
And man, having a chance to meet him and just to pick his brain for a half a second, that was amazing, but not going to turn down opportunities to do something I love and write, but those worlds collided very weird and oddly for me. But what I'm trying to say is, if you want to be a journalist, you got to be classically trained as a journalist. That's what these journalists who have the degree. I don't have a journalism degree. I have a communication degree. While I wrote for a paper, that doesn't make me a journalist. It's almost like the wine scotch, whiskey, the whiskey.
You're a reporter. There's a difference between a reporter and a journalist.
Yeah, there's very subtle differences. Yeah, there are. But, if you want to go down the path like the beat writers and be on the beat and cover and go on the road, then you have to go all in for that. All in. And if you're 35 and you want to go back to go get a degree and go to the online colleges, do it. Do it that way. But if you're going to be a content creator, there's always going to be that line that if you cross it, there's going to be ramifications if it's wrong. I've been there. There's going to be ramifications if you're a little off, So I really plead to people who are starting it, pick that lane and own it.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. It's got these. I mean, these are the questions, and Jonathan, I know you want to start one because I know people don't realize, like, I'm fairly new to this, right? Like, I only started second game, I think, or the regular season last year. I forget because of all the people I've met and all the friendship I made that I'm fairly new to this game, right? But yeah. My goal is just like I'm one that's, I know Jason's, I'm not afraid to put myself, like, when you put a top 100 big board, you are literally exposing yourself to anything, But I'm confident, not because I'm smarter than anybody, but I'm confident I do the work. And that's what I said. If you're not going to put the work in this, you have to do that, right? That's what's going to solve all these problems and issues. Because usually, I've said it over and over again. When you grind on something, you look, and I feel like I have a good eye. It's something I felt since I was like 11 years old on evaluating players. I never went professionally. I never became a scout. I never did any of that. I chose a different path. But, like, I've always thought I had a good eye for that, based on – go ahead, Sam. You got something?
Please, I want you to please highlight that comment for Bobby, the live podcast comment. Because that's
I knew you were – I was like, Sammy's going to eat this one up.
Sorry, if you're not a reporter.
This is all Sammy right here.
Perfect. That's the bottom line.
But this is Bobby speaking. Listen, shout out to Bobby because, listen, there have been people like Bobby. I've been lucky enough to be able to talk to someone like Bobby and share a story like this because we've been able to kind of bring things to light, because this is a relationship business. Bobby's got phenomenal relationships. You know, that's what this is. I don't care if it's an agent, a friend, a trainer, a mom, a cousin, a stepdad, a stepson. There are so many people who are connected to players and other people connected to everything. So you don't have to be a reporter or a journalist to do anything other than pass on information if it's allowed, if it's cultivated the right way, if it's done in a professional manner. And listen, Bobby is now the best in the business, I think, in dolphin breaking cool stuff. And he's not necessarily a reporter, but that's okay.
That's why they don't like it, because that's what's happening.
It's not like you're scratching off a lottery ticket, you win, it's not valid because it's not a, it's real. It's a real thing.
And I could speak to this. Yeah, I could. Sorry to interrupt you. I could speak to this because I have a relationship with Bobby outside of this show. We talk on the phone all the time. And
see, one of the cool kids.
Yeah, no. There's 100 things that Bobby tells me that I don't bring to light, and some of it comes true. I'll say this. I'll go back to this. He's not gonna. I don't think he'll carry this. Has already happened. The Kenneth Grant pick. We would talk on the phone a lot. I mentioned to him, man, Kenneth. I said, who do you think? Who do you think they like? And he kept telling me, they like Kenneth Grant. And I said, wow, I like him too. And then I even had a conversation before him. Like,
you mean to tell me you also said they're gonna pick Kenneth Grant?
No.
No.
Couple of people.
But then I mentioned to him.
Oh, come on, no.
Then all the.
I thought there was only one person who said they're gonna pick Kenneth Grant. Oh, come on.
I get it now.
Good day, everybody.
So wait a minute. So Bobby was the first in the community?
No, I'm not being Bobby. I think someone knows who I'm talking about. It's not Bobby. Someone else is a couple of days ago say he's the only one who said that the Dolphins is gonna pick Kenneth Grant.
And I even texted him, like, there was a whole John Barron stuff. I go, Bobby, man, I got a feeling this might be Kenneth Grant, right? And like, he's not one to like, oh, I'm the only one who thought of this, or he's a guy who legitimately, when the beat writers criticize that, oh, we don't have sources, I'm going to tell you right now, Bobby from the Dive Bar podcast has as good or better sources than most of the people who cover that team. Point blank period.
And the fact that players go to the
relationships
to talk about
built.
Is
point blank period.
Another thing I want to also I think I've been wanting to say this for a long time overall. When people joke around and say as per source or sauces or all that crap, the reason why it said as per source is because if that person wanted to be the one to bring it to light, they would have been the one to bring it to light. There's a reason why they don't want that particular information in most cases, or in some cases, to bring something to light. So if some source tells someone something, and that person is allowed to put that out there in the way that the source wants it to, and it's okay, and then someone writes back, who's your source? You won't get any more information from that source if you name who the source is. That is journalism kind of 101. But that doesn't
common sense. Right. If you expose your source, you're done.
Right. It's like, who's your source? Well, I'm gonna just answer that question.
Oh yeah. It's like Omar. It's like Omar saying, like Omar again. Just your source is Xavier Howard. Like, again, you know what I mean?
Right.
You might as well not. You might as well just say it.
That's a wonderful example. So if there's a player saying that he's mad that he lost his prime years because of Tua, I'm not gonna say who. Everybody says it's Xavier Howard, and Homer says no, of course not. By now, everybody knows it's Xavier Howard. Why lie? Come on.
It's just a matter of common sense. I mean, not every single thing that I'm sure certain people are told by sources they communicate, because it's part of a friendship, it's part of a relationship. You don't want to regurgitate everything somebody tells you out. You know what I'm saying? It's almost asinine when I see these. I hope people are just doing it just to Josh. Oh, sources, bro. Think about it, and that's it.
Once your source knows they can. Once your source knows they can trust you, that's the key ingredient. That's the secret sauce. Exactly. Once you build a trust with them, they'll keep coming back to you, and that's what Bobby does well. And he's built relationships, and that's why he has a great show.
I will say this,
and that's why they don't like us because
look, I'm always going to take the content creator side on this, right? There's some beat writers I love. I'm just gonna say I'm always because we're starting from a disadvantage always. It is a big sea of YouTubers and podcasters to build anything. Just even the success I've had on this show, which I'm not in the top league, right? But like I'm proud of it because I know how hard it is. Jonathan, you're gonna find this out. Like,
Yeah.
But I try to be honest in what I do. Like, I don't need to say. Here's the thing, man. I don't need to say I'm better at you in X's and O's. I'm better. Watch my show. Look at what I do. Look at what I say, and you make a decision on that. And that's all. Like, there's no need to. Again, you mentioned it, Jason. I don't gotta blow smoke in front of everybody's face. So the one thing out of the 25 things you got right, you repeat and regurgitate, and it's verbal diarrhea over and over again. But the other 24 things become silent because you blew so much smoke over it that people can't see it. And that's without naming names. I'll let you guys figure that out. But I promise you, here, we're not going to do that. It's going to be the product, and the product will speak for itself. And if you like it, you watch the show. If you don't, you go somewhere else that's going to sell you what you want to hear. And to each their own, because this is very difficult to do. And I won't criticize another podcast because, A, it costs money, and people don't realize this costs a lot of money just to put this show together. And that's fine because I want to do that. And I love the people who come in, the Caps, everybody, Elwood, Jay, Cliff, everybody who comes in here. I'm still shocked that people come and watch the show. I know it's crazy to sound, but I'm still shocked. And when somebody says, "Oh, you have a really good show," I'm still shocked because this has always been kind of a dream of mine, man. I grew up. Sports radio is where my love is. And so, yeah. So I'm passionate about it, man. You can see it, right? I'm almost biting the microphone here.
But this is what it's all about. Again,
Thank you.
This is what it's all about. And George, I'm so glad I went on this path with you. I truly am. And you're just such a terrific dude. And you're cut from the same cloth as Sammy. Jonathan, in our interactions, I know you are going to succeed in this business if you go down this road wholeheartedly.
Yes, sir.
There's a collab.
I don't think it's good after today, but
yeah, I was like, Jonathan, do you still want to do this?
Of course.
I'm kidding, man.
Of course.
I mean, look,
Hey, Jonathan, you got to promise us you're gonna have all this on your show, right? As guests, right?
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously, yes.
Hey, Bobby, thank you, bro. And I want to say this: the first person to ever put a hand out and teach me anything was Mr. Bobby Finstock. So thank you, brother. You know that. And you know what, dude? We got to collab. We haven't collabed in a while. I haven't been on your show. You haven't been on mine. Let's make that happen. Let's talk. DM me or text me or whatever. But thank you.
Congrats on the new show. I had a chance to see what
check them out.
Today. Look, it was awesome. Check his channel because something different. Covering a lot of sports.
Yeah, dude.
Today.
He's not just.
So congrats to Bobby.
He's not just Dolphins, man. And it's hard to do all these shows. I've said it. There's Heat stuff. There's wrestling, fantasy, everything. But thank you for the kind words about don't sell them. I appreciate that. I appreciate all the kind words. And
Cap for life. Love Cap for life.
Cap's the best. Cap supports everybody.
Cap says, send me a DM. I want to have the conversation with you. Come on. Send me a DM. So.
All right, we're being too nice. Let's attack somebody here. We're being too nice.
Before we talk, again, I want to make emphasis on this. It takes a lot of work.
Yes.
It's not just a hobby.
Yeah.
We're not playing games, Homer.
Omar?
Omar.
For you, we're just fans who are playing around. It takes hours to make something. It takes money. I admire what Bobby Finstock does. The guys at the Dive Bar podcast to create relationship with players, with guests takes time. It takes work. It just don't happen.
Yes.
You gotta hustle. And again, like I said in my column, I encourage you, those in the media, to start putting in the work like they used to do in other times. They have an opportunity. We and some access. We don't. We deserve the best from you, and I'm asking you to please do it.
And the funny thing is, and I'll wrap this all up and tie it together. But if you want to hear old school journalism stories, that the guy's not old school necessarily, he's still a young journalist, but Jeff Darlington would put in work for his sources. Yes. I mean, work on top of work on top of work.
And you noticed it.
You can listen to his fish tank. You can listen to episodes where he said and literally gone into detail. And here the dive bar guys are talking to him like they're just literally at a bar. And when they have players and they have media members, it meshes, and it's so nice
Good content.
It's great content.
Yeah.
And a guy like Garlington is the GOAT because you say to yourself, holy Lord, he did all of that for just a story. But the credibility and the word credibility, credentials, it's all wrapped into one.
I had a chance to attend when I had a chance years ago when to the end when they were open. We wrote me, so I wrote him back to Jeff Darrington. I said that then you're gonna be the next Adam Schefter because you know that guy hustled, that guy worked, that guy had ethics, and you knew he was gonna fire even then more than 10 years ago. Yeah. So if we work, we put on the work. Don't tell me it's just a hobby. You know, you're doing a hobby. Come take my job.
No.
If we could, we would.
Trust me. The stress I go through just putting a thumbnail together. You guys know, it's just the thumbnail that you see when you. It's not, and I don't like saying, oh, it costs money. Most content creators and Dolphin YouTubers, only the top make money off this, right? Yes. The majority are doing because they love it, right? And I always said that's why I do it because I love this and I've always wanted to do it. And if something flourishes out of it, great, you know. But most of us, it costs money just because, and it costs money, and also you're putting yourself out there. So like you're vulnerable. Like it's not easy, you know.
That's the part nobody talks about.
Turn on a mic, look in the camera by yourself, and try to talk for 20 minutes about the Dolphins and see what comes out.
You know how
I'm not saying anybody can't do it, but I'm saying it's harder than you think. So, and I always said. Go ahead.
I'm gonna allow Jonathan to talk because I don't know what he wants to say. But do you know how a content creator gets paid? With a like, with a share, with a comment.
Wait, speaking of that,
it's a recognition you get.
Like,
go.
So everybody,
hit the like button.
Hit that subscribe button. It's not a hobby.
That's the way you get paid, by the comments, by your peers. When someone in your palace comes back and says after the show, I love that video you made. That was awesome.
To me, that's as good. When I get somebody who came, like I'll tell you, Kenny, who's the first person that saw me on Audi, when he said, "Oh man, I like your stuff," dude, that made it worth it for me. Not $1, because like this is, you know.
I didn't know you the first time I see the content. Say that's a lot of work.
Yeah,
I was impressed. Like, wow, that I since I know what it takes.
Yeah,
that's how he's finding your show. You see Jason will do the show. I haven't seen your show before because sometimes you get mixed and miss so many. There's so many content you don't even know exist. And I saw your show for the first time. I said, wow, that guy puts. I think I wrote to Jason. That guy puts a lot of work because I know what it takes. It's a lot. The draft stuff work you put on the on-season was huge. That's a lot of work.
I'm so proud.
I commended you before, and I want to commend you. Commended you because I know how much time it takes to do just one. And another.
You got to do that. You got to talk about it. You got to know about it. You got to watch the tape. You got to have the. And that's why I said you put it like Jonathan. My best advice is you, if you really want to do it, grind at it. People will notice. You know, of course, you got to be knowledgeable. But you follow the Dolphins. We're not splitting atoms here. You know, people know what a nickel defense, a 4-3. Like you can learn this stuff too if you really want to get into it.
Jonathan, if you know the roster, you probably know more. A couple of reporters I know by now.
You want to name any names?
I know the roster.
Sammy, any names? No, we better not.
No.
We'll let the chat do that. You know. But like if you just put in the work, man, and if you ever need any advice, you can come to me or any of these guys, and. But yeah, that's what's going to shine through. People notice that, like Sam. You know, there's a bunch of shows. You got to separate yourself. But go ahead, Jonathan. I know you anything on your mind. We've been babbling on.
No, I'm just taking a little bit of y'all's advice, all y'all's words, everything, all in one. So it's true, man. I know each and every one of y'all work hard. So, and all the content creators out there, obviously.
Yeah, dude. There's plenty of them.
It's not
again.
Easy, so.
The top guys are good. There's some guys who don't get hardly any views that are good. You know what I mean? Like, views don't necessarily mean how much knowledge you have and how good of a product you put out. I'll put it to you that way. Okay. I'm not talking about myself or comparing it to anybody else, but I've seen shows that don't get anything. And I said, wow, this guy knows what he's talking about.
We have the best content creators in the NFL. I'm going to go to my grave saying it. The best.
Yeah.
I think something to do with that is, and I hate saying this too. Yes, that's 1,000%. We want a winner so bad.
Oh, yes.
We want a winner so bad. That this is almost like a good
2023
bubble.
was fun.
But
it was fun, but everyone's waiting for it.
But
the
make
playoff
it
game. But the playoff win is what we want.
Yeah,
Like-
we're like the Dolphins in some ways. They're chasing their own tail. Like they're trying. It keeps moving. We can't catch it.
2008 was a great season too, but guess what? It ended the same way as 2023.
Yeah.
Baltimore.
And again,
Wasn't
besides
Baltimore.
Tuesdays, we talk about these great content creators. But make sure you come to the Finn's Faithful podcast because we do it right here. I'm kidding.
I never thought I was gonna miss the dancing on the sideline and everything, but now this is so much.
All right, so I think we beat this to a dead horse, right? Like, should we get in some Dolphin stuff, some mock trades, or what do you think?
Yeah.
How about we do something and stop talking about all this?
Sure.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, sure.
All right, Sammy.
It's like the Dolphins Civil War is now more entertaining than the off season right now. But sure, let's talk some trades.
Or if you got anybody else to throw under the bus, go ahead. I'm all
Maybe for next time. I have a list.
Oh boy, we could almost even probably save the mock trades for next time, but we'll go through them quickly. I know the Panthers game's on, so I appreciate everybody still watching.
And Zach Sealer apparently beat the drum, which is pretty cruel. So I'm sure they're going to need a new drum for whatever the next one is.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes, especially if
there's so many people last year they cannot find a way to stand side Steeler.
So good.
If I'll let you take this, Jay-Z. Am I wrong for wanting Henderson?
In another world, yeah, but they're so names in there loaded with talent. If everyone stays healthy, they have such a potentially great front seven. So I don't think they need to bring any more in. So I
want to save our picks as much.
I don't think they were gonna.
Oh, I'm not on board with this one.
This is what I like. All right, first mock trade. And again, if you guys have any ideas in the chat, if you hate it or like it,
we know who's starting.
Yeah. All right, so poke some holes into this one, Mr. Jonathan. I thought Schoonmaker, I know the Dolphins. I know for a fact the Dolphins liked in that 23 draft. He's a second-round pick out of Michigan. It's kind of been buried on the depth chart. They got what's the kid's name? I wrote it down. Spanford, the undrafted tight end, a big 6'7", like 270-pound tight end who's kind of turning heads in camp. So he might be buried on the depth chart. I think tight end, kind of going with the theme of the whole Hunter Long trade, where we gave them Hunter Long and a third. Look, Ramsey's older now, so a couple years older. And I'll say this before we get into the details is I think how much money, guaranteed money, the Dolphins are going to need is going to ultimately determine the difference of a round of a pick or something. I know that's where I think, because teams want the Dolphins to eat some of this guaranteed money. The more you eat, the more you'll get back. But if you're going to eat the money, you want to get something significant back than probably what they're offering. But Jeremy Fowler had a report saying about teams that were interested, nothing imminent, the Cowboys, the Commanders, the Falcons. We kind of went with that theme. And also another point I want to make is a week ago, Adam Schefter had a thing where he said, "Oh, there's more trade talk and more interest and anticipated on Ramsey." Hold your horses on that. That could be agent driven, kind of driving up the market for Ramsey. So, but yeah, we'll start with
helping the Dolphins. That would be a first.
Yeah, that would be the first. Yeah. Helping the client. Helping the client. Ramsey wants more.
Well,
that makes sense. So we'll go with the first one with the Cowboys. Jonathan, go ahead.
Well, first of all, I just don't like the Cowboys, and I would never help them out with getting Jalen Ramsey. But I don't know, Schoonmaker. I don't know, man. I wish we could get something better out of it or a better pick.
I know, but we got to be realistic. They're not going to give you, Jake Ferguson and a third round pick. You know what I mean? I just looked at the roster. What I thought guys who were second, third stringers, kind of in the realm of that Hunter Long deal. Like Hunter Long was, maybe they could get more out of him, and we traded him along with a third round pick. So I saw Schumacher, but you don't like the player. Fourth round pick. And Ramsey to the Browns for what? I think Sammy, you mentioned Ramsey to the Browns, right? You saw a rumor out there.
There's a rumor, yes. Shout out to Steve Hall, my co-host of Finn's TV, who's in the chat.
Steve. Shout out, Steve. I didn't even know. Thank you for joining us. Yeah, Steve, coming here to support his top producer here in Finn's TV and Sammy. Steve, I've been on a great guy. They have a great show over there. All right, so we'll go with Jason. Jason, your thoughts on this? Are we in the realm here?
I mean, I think the team, you got the right team. There's a couple of teams out there. I could totally see the Cowboys in that group. Our buddy Justin Mello over at the Draft Network put out an article having the Cowboys as one of 3 teams that he mentioned. Shout out to him. Now, I see what you're doing here with the almost replication, so to speak, from a mirror image of the Hunter Long package.
Also, Jason, before you go on, I'm looking at the roster. There wasn't a ton of players that fit that mold that I thought they would trade. Kind of good enough.
Well, there certainly isn't a cornerback.
Yeah.
You're not getting a cornerback back.
You're not getting the kid they you're not getting the kid they just drafted.
Javon Revel, which is
but what I'm saying is like that are good enough to pique our interest, but not good enough where they won't trade him. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's a fine line there, and he was the one that stood out to me. But yeah, go ahead.
I believe you created a slide, and we'll go into that in a couple of minutes of the trade that
I know there's one you like. You inspired one of them, Jason.
Yeah.
So in terms of this one, I don't necessarily like the player in return. I'm not saying I don't like Schoonmaker, but I think if you can go try to parlay Ramsey with something else and get a better draft pick, unless you want to bring back a good cornerback. Because if you're not replacing Ramsey with a semi-comparable cornerback, then you have a lot of number 2s and 3s and 4s fighting the camp.
Yeah, I'm just not sure. I don't know what they want to do with the cornerback position. I'm kind of confused. All right, Sammy, you want to add anything onto this?
Yeah. Shoemaker is a guy who caught my eye when I see a guy who's played. I think he's a good player. But I like the player, not necessarily like the position. I think Jerry Jones outed himself saying he had a couple of deals in the work. He already made one trade. So the Cowboys will seem like the most logical series. He already outed himself. But if I'm making a trade, I would like for it to be for a corner or safety or offensive lineman for depth. If not, give me another, I don't know, a 6th-round pick with a 4th and a conditional 6 in 2027. I don't care. Something like that, because I think we're good on tight end. But I like the player, not necessarily the fit of the trade.
Yeah, it's just it's tough to find what they would actually give you, because I wanted to get a roster player and a pick, and I think the tight end room sneaky needs another young player in there.
The value's right. But probably not the roster one.
I know people brought up Connors, but still, we haven't seen him hit the field. I'm high on him, but like Schumacher was a 2nd-round pick, and I know they liked him. And I always look at players that they kind of had interest in before. But all right, so value's right, but we don't love the player, right? Is that basically our?
I think it's more the position. Position.
I mean,
yeah.
Right. All right. Moving on. All right. So this is one of my favorites. All right, and I'll get to you. Like, I don't know if you guys were familiar with Clark Phillips III. He's somebody, I believe, is a 4th-round pick in 23. Very high on him. I loved him coming out like as a mid-round sleeper. He's kind of backed up last year, split time with Mike Hughes. He started 5 games the year before. He's kind of a feisty player, was like a playmaker coming out. Not the fastest guy, not the biggest, but I think what he'll do is he gives you a little Cater Kohu insurance and allows you to move Cater. If you want to play with Cater on the outside a few times, you can kind of move this, guy in the inside. However, he has been a primary backup in the outside for the Falcons, but there's talk of moving him inside. I like this player. Is he a Pro Bowl player? No, but I just like him to add depth in that room, and you get a 4th-round pick, and you get the position that you're giving up. So we'll start with you, Jason, on this one.
Better idea in terms of getting a cornerback back, but he's not a significant starter. He's a guy who is maybe that versatile. What do we do with him? Can he, move Cater to the outside? I don't necessarily think I want Cater on the outside. I like him in the slot.
No, it gives you more. It gives you ability to play with Cater a little bit more. I
Very
agree.
fair. Because I think the only, I mean, it's scary to say after Jalen Ramsey, the only safe name is someone who's going to be on the field a lot for the Dolphins right now is Cater Kohu. So if you try to get yourself a pure boundary guy in a trade for Ramsey, I think that's the best way to go.
Yeah. It's slim pickings though. Teams aren't giving up good. Teams aren't giving up good. Like if you take look on these trades, if all they get back is a 4th-round pick, that might realistically be what it is. Like I think we're not getting a 2nd-round pick for Jalen Ramsey. At best, you get a 3rd. At best, you know what I mean. Like so, I think that's also. I'm just trying to add a player, kind of, throw a little spice.
I like this one better than the previous because you're on the right position.
Sammy.
Exactly what Jason said. Basically, it makes more sense. Again, I would like a cornerback, an offensive lineman, something like that. But the problem is, again, is the contract. If you're taking the player, you're going to assume that contract. Either the Dolphins are going to have to take a lot of the money,
and this trade is
probably you're not getting more than a 6th-round pick for
this trade is probably this trade is probably with the Dolphins taking money. Like like you said, if you're gonna they're gonna eat everything, you're getting a 5th or 6th-round pick.
Yeah.
So
you remember that time that they got that Dolphin legend cornerback from the Broncos for a 2nd-round pick, just because you had to take the money. The money.
Akeem Talib.
Akeem Talib.
Yeah. When we were rebuilding, we bought it. We bought a 5th-round pick. What was it? Right?
I think it was more than that.
Was it a 5th or 3rd? I could.
I'll have to check, but I think it was pretty good compensation.
How about Ramsey for Browns quarterback? I think we filled that with. What did we trade Akeem Talib? Anybody in the chat know what we traded for? We got for Akeem Talib. I could have sworn it was a 5th-round pick, but maybe it was a 3rd. If anybody in the chat knows. All right. So, Jonathan, your thoughts on this one?
I like it for depth-wise at corner. I mean, if we're losing Ramsey, we like you were saying, we don't really have much outside of Cater. Yeah. So the more competition we have, the better.
Yeah.
So I'm good for corner.
5th-round pick, yeah, I could. Yeah, we basically bought it. Yeah, that was when we were rebuilding. So those were nice days. What are we doing? Are we rebuilding again? I don't even know.
It's a soft rebuild. It's a soft rebuild.
All right, here we go. Next trade.
I like this one.
You like this one?
Yes. A young tight end, Ben Sinnott.
2nd-round pick last year, Ben Sinnott.
Yeah.
When they got Zach Ertz. Now, I don't know if I was reading the Rams the Commanders were throwing his name out there and maybe move up in the draft. He was a highly sought after tight end last year's draft, 2nd-round pick. But I think he only had 5 catches last year. Didn't do much. He had 5 receptions for 28 yards. Zach Ertz is kind of the king over there, but his contract is running out, so maybe that's something they wouldn't want to move off. He's currently 3rd on the depth chart. But again, a guy I think in Mike McDaniel's system, you're looking for guys who that have high draft value, and you maybe think you can get more out of. And was just a 2nd-round pick last year. That's why I threw in the 6th-round pick. So, Jonathan, you can start with you. You like this one?
Yeah, I like having Ramsey on the older side, getting a young player back.
Yeah, I think that tight end room needs to be improved behind Jonnu Smith.
Yeah, so getting a young player back coming out on a 2nd year, I think that's a good trade for us.
Yeah,
I like it.
Sammy.
Well, I give you an A for effort because, of course, it's hard to come up with these things. But give me the 4th-round pick straight up. I'm gonna keep my 6, and you keep Ben, because I'm not trading a 6th-round pick for Ben Sinnott. So give me the 4th to get Ramsey, and I'm out of here.
Lattimore instead of Sinnott. Okay.
Straight up pick.
Good.
Right.
That's what I want to talk. That's what I want the chat to get. This is what I want is to generate conversation about it.
Lattimore.
Believe me, man, it's hard to come up with these trades.
Yeah.
I would take a
Lattimore. Lattimore. Now, if you really want to get funky, you put Lattimore, and then you throw Jalen Ramsey in the 3rd-round pick that they obtained in this draft in the trade back, and you keep that 4th-round pick. So you're getting Lattimore and a 4th for Ramsey and a 3rd.
But do you think they want a Lattimore type player? Do you think that's what they?
I liked what Elwood said in the chat, but nothing against Sinnott, who's a young prospect who I think could be like a little bit of a light Jonnu Smith F type player with maybe even the ability to block in space a little bit better. I don't know, but not bad. This one's not bad. I liked Sinnott last year in the draft process.
Yeah. Lattimore could be, again, if they're going to go, they could do that with Tampa with Jamal Dean. They can also go that route. Like if they want to go straight veteran corner,
that one I like.
Jamal Dean. I almost wrote that one up, but I had to check on my sources. AKA my younger brother is a Tampa Bay fanatic. So those are my sources. All right, and shout out to everybody watching. You guys, make sure you hit that like, subscribe button. We're here with. We were here with Jonathan. You just popped off. We're here with Jason Sarny, co-host on the On Season, and Finn Sammy from Finn's TV. Jason will pop on. Hopefully Jonathan will pop back on here. All right. So this one is you get a little bit of a higher pick. Let me bring Jonathan back up. You get a little bit of a higher pick because the player you're getting is a player who's already been cut, but it was a 1st-round pick a few years ago. I believe 16 overall. I will I will say this: I was not a fan. I will pat myself on the back, and I was not a fan of Emmanuel Forbes Jr. coming out. I almost thought I was wrong after that first year, but then he came back. Everything came back to the level, and he kind of nosedived, and he was cut by the Commanders in 24, picked up by the Rams. He's kind of buried on their depth chart. You want to take a flyer here on a former first-round pick, but a guy who wouldn't be surprised if you get cut, unlike the other guys I mentioned, like a Clark Phillips will definitely make your team. A Ben Sinnott will definitely make your team. So I think you get a higher pick here, a third-round pick. Your thoughts, Jason Sarny?
You're right in the mindset. I mean, he's not taking any roster spot than the first 5 players on the Dolphins roster or depth chart right now. The third-round pick is nice. A reclamation project, I would not necessarily love that. If you're going to bring in a cornerback, I would love it to be an established person. But I do like that this has the third-round pick in there because that would be nice to pile on that.
Yeah, I think if you can get a third-round pick for Ramsey and it's nothing else, you won.
Like, I agree. I agree.
And hard. I like this one. Jake says I like this one, but hard for me to see us getting anything than a fifth. Well, again, this is considering they're going to have to eat some guaranteed money. That will get them a higher pick. Now, I think the problem is they might be willing to, but even the compensation is probably not where they want it. So this is even a stretch getting a third because Emmanuel Forbes is literally a lottery ticket that you would cut or you try to develop, or if anything, he's going to be buried in your depth chart. But he was a first-round pick. So anybody else have any thoughts on this, Jonathan? Or
overall, you know what? I like the fact that the Cowboys are involved in all of this because that basically gives someone that gives competition because when the Cowboys want someone, they go after it. So you probably might get a fifth for Ramsey because of that contract. But if the Cowboys are in it, we might be able to get a fourth. So when you get a cornerback, I'm in favor of the third round pick. That would be beautiful. The third round pick by itself would be precious. So if they get this trade,
it's basically a third round pick by itself.
Exactly.
Forbes is really a guy who probably will be cut maybe by the Rams.
Exactly. He's the Hunter Long of this trade.
But but I'm saying it gives you a shot. Look, add another guy to the mix, see what happens. Jonathan.
I like the third round pick for sure. Instead of Forbes, can we get another wide receiver, Jordan Whittington, former Longhorn?
Oh,
I'm just kidding. I would take Jordan Whittington in the third.
I got ideas for how your show would be, like a Longhorn, like Dolphin kind of thing. Ramsey wants a contender, right? He's not going to Dallas. Haha, Jake.
What up, Jake?
Now we're going to get into another Rams trade here, the last one. This is inspired by Jason Sarny. The Rams, like it. Remember, the Rams have 2 first-round picks now, right? They got one from Atlanta in the James Pierce deal. So, they might not be too fussed to come off a second and get a third because they have 2 ones. You give Jalen the third we got, and you get a second-round pick next year. And if you want to play in the quarterback draft market, depending what happens with Tua, that is a big quarterback class next year. I think I think the Dolphins are eyeing this class regardless of what happens with Tua because it is a huge difference in the talent and the quarterback position. I've started working on the 26 guys, and the physical ability and talent and traits of these quarterbacks, that'd be something for season 2, right, Jason? When we get to there next
yes.
We'll talk about this guy.
Season 2.0.
Yeah. And by the way, even when the on-season ends this season, Jason, I believe, is going to still do shows with me, whether it's on Monday or on the Fins feed. He's part of the family here, so don't worry about that.
As long as it's not Tuesday.
Yeah, Tuesday. Yeah, as long as it's not
Tuesday.
We're going to do Tuesday,
Tuesdays are you.
Tuesdays at 8 is okay.
Yeah. So this one is.
Don't go to the collective, Jason. Don't go to the collective.
Don't worry. Those guys do great on their own. Those are a good 4.
Yeah. Can I go, Sammy? Can I go for the check there? On the
go ahead.
That's not happening. All right. So they have 2 ones. Give up a third. We get a second next year, and it gives you ammo. We have a. Don't we have? What did we got a? I think we're gonna have 2 fourths with the Javon Holland.
Yeah, everything is looking great.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
what do you guys think?
Second-
I'll start with you, Jason, because you kind of inspired this one. What are your thoughts on it? I think the chat likes this one the best.
The
Yep.
trade back with Houston in the draft got that 2026 third round pick. They have a first, a second, 2/3, 2/4, a fifth, sixth, seventh next year. So they're looking phenomenal in excess. And if they can move Jalen Ramsey, who is not a Dolphin anymore, we all know that. So at this point, we were all planning on not having Ramsey. We're talking about a pick that we were kind of given in a trade down. Upgrade it. Make it a top 64 pick. Because even if the Rams, who have been in that kind of let's just deal with our picks and bring in the players mindset, they still have those first two first rounders, as George referenced. So this is a very tolerable deal for them as well. And they're just making this full circle with getting back the guy that they traded to the Dolphins anyway. So this is almost a
home run. Yeah, it made sense. It's like you're moving. If you move up, I don't know the cost. It's basically they're getting Ramsey and they're moving back down around, like we're trading up, you know. And again, we'll probably have to eat some money on this deal. But if we're getting a premium top 64 pick, I'm willing to eat some of the money there, right? Like I'm not as excited to do it for a fourth, but like you know, for a second, I know we got to give up that third, but you have to give to get, and
have another one.
And you have another one already, so it doesn't. They love to do that. They did it last year.
They could trade up one of their second if they do this, and they give themselves 2 second rounders. They can essentially do what they did with Jonas Savayanea if they love a player in the early second round and take one of those and just move up the board. They got a second, fourth round pick as well. So I would love for them to play, draft pick gymnastics here with just canceling out Ramsey, upgrading that trade they got from the Texans. Bada bing, bada boom. There you go.
Sammy?
Or anybody. If not the Rams, anybody.
If we go back to your draft show, we were talking about the value of the draft chart of making trades and all that. And I said on your show that if you basically what you do is if you're giving a third round pick, that you want a third round pick as the value of next year, and the Dolphins basically did that on that trade. This is basically trading Jalen Ramsey for a third round pick. That's all it is, straight up. Because if you get the value of the third round pick, you're probably gonna be able to take that third and probably move back to the end of the second round. Of course, if the Rams are betting on themselves, they have the contending team and the contending team, and they believe the Dolphins are not. Basically, that's a 10, 15 spots move, probably 18. So a third round pick is in the vicinity. So a straight up trade for a third round pick will be the same. So the Dolphins, for make that trade, if you ask me, they will have to probably give back probably a fourth in next year or a fifth next year to basically the conversation. But of all the trades, for sure, this is the most attractive.
So you're saying add like a 5th round pick as well?
Yeah, they will have to send the probably a 5th round pick back.
Again, I wouldn't have no problem with that. I'm looking for the premium pick here.
Yeah,
that's what I'm looking for.
100%.
If I have to add a 5th, that's a good point.
Yeah, exactly because of that. Because a first round pick is a premium pick. A second round pick is a premium pick. So if you're gonna go back to the second round, it has more value. The stretch is more. So
the percentages keep going down as you move down.
Yeah, it will have to be a third and probably more than that to move on.
Yeah, but I like the idea.
But this is the best trade of all. This is the most attractive one. Even you had to send back a 2027 fourth round pick.
And even if we have to send back Julian Hill, I'm okay with that.
Hey.
Oh, please
do.
Julian Hill catching strays on.
Circle back to Schumacher and Ben Simmons. You know, we might have to circle back.
Wow. Hey, he's on the bubble, man. He's definitely. I mean, I think he's on the
Jonathan.
Bubble.
Yeah.
I don't know if you.
No, I like the pick or the trade or whatever. I thought a third was the ceiling, but to get a second.
Yeah, but you're giving up a third though, so that's
totally fine.
Upgrading. You're upgrading.
We're upgrading to a second round pick. I'm fine with that.
Second round pick is a premium item, so
it'll make the mock drafts fun, next year.
Oh hell yeah!
And George will be doing another board. Your board.
We're doing the board. We're doing the board. I love the board. Listen, I've done a board for 3 years in a row now. It's just been all the differences has been sitting in a whiteboard in my office instead of on a graphic. You know what I mean? That's what gave me the confidence to do it. To be honest. It wasn't my
There's-
first time.
They're just gonna have to add you to the scout team, George.
All right, that'd be nice, right? It's my. I love the game days. I love all that. It's my number one passion, right? So
Yeah.
my content better be the best there.
But
Anyways.
we love it fans. We love the off season stuff because
Yeah.
he's an ever hopeful
Yeah,
for the Dolphins to do. I used to love the off season, the free agency and the draft. Woo!
yeah.
Next year we're
Yeah.
gonna get him, and next we're gonna get him, and next we're gonna get him. So
Yeah.
the off season is always great. We're
Yeah.
just off season champions every single year.
So, all right, give me your top two. This one is everybody's favorite. What's your second one? I'm gonna go with the Falcons deal with Clark
If
Phillips.
you got a corner, yes.
What's your second, Jonathan?
Definitely the Falcons one. Position
Jason?
for position.
I liked Sinnott last year in the draft process, so I'll go with the
Go
Commanders
Sin-
one.
All right.
Yeah.
So we gone through our mock trade.
So you know what's gonna happen next, right? We're
what?
gonna send it to none of those teams.
Oh yeah, no, none of them. Right? We're
I
gonna
saw
get a
somebody
them.
said the Browns. That would be great.
Send him
That
to
would be fun.
Philadelphia.
Yeah,
Oh my
there's
God.
a rumor. There's a rumor of the Browns, and I will not be sad about that.
The Browns. What you think of that
That's
corner?
a new
Newsom.
source.
Everybody's saying the Newsom kid, right? The former was he a third round pick, second round pick? Was he a first? I don't remember.
I think he
Was
was
he at a
first.
was he at a TCU? I don't know why my mind's not doesn't clock with Newsom, but yeah, I mean, who knows? It could be Jalen Ramsey for a fifth round pick, and everybody's up in
Newsom-
arms.
Is Newsom injury prone? Because if it is, that's the deal for career.
then he's definitely a Dolphin. Right?
Book it.
And again, these are all. When do you guys expect this to happen? You think it's going to happen pretty quick after June 1st, like June 2nd? You know,
Next week.
Yeah, I think it'll happen like within the 24-hour period, either pre-June 1st, where it's announced and it'll be activated, or within the day or the day after. It's in and around June 1st. Get it over with. Just do it. I'm sure they're negotiating and they're figuring things out as we speak.
they know what's out there,
Yeah.
right? They already know what's out there. It's just
Let's get it
what,
done.
what they're
I truly believe that Chris Spear felt very confident that the team will be competitive, and then the Ramsey stuff breakthrough, and now it's a mess because if Ramsey was in, the Dolphins will have probably a competitive team. I'm not saying that they're the best team in the AFC, but they will have a pretty competitive team. Anything can happen. But Ramsey, the Ramsey going, like this is changing everything, because the rumors that it was because McDaniels called him out on being late, and Ramsey likes to do whatever he wants to do. So basically, that bridge is burned. So
yeah, it's
if
very
the Dolphins
clear
had
that-
Ramsey for one more year, the Dolphins will be probably.
let's
very
not.
competitive.
Oh, Michael. Oh, I would love to do that trade.
Not bad.
That's
They
a
don't
trade I
need
would
him.
love with Oakland. With
They
Oakland,
definitely don't need him.
Michael
the
Meyer
Raiders.
for
Now they got
sign me up for
Powers.
that. Sign me up. That's a good one.
I like
would.
that. That's not bad.
And again, look, and the Ramsey thing. Listen, this is not the Ramsey's. Let's not make Ramsey out to be a saint here. This is not his first time like dealing with this, and it's pretty clear him and McDaniel don't see eye to eye, and he's somebody they feel they've turned again. Draft picks, F them picks, now back to draft picks and being younger. They don't want somebody ruining that locker room, right? And Ramsey's the kind of guy who can do that. But again, that speaks, we've said it before, the leadership at top of the head coach and then the organization and the locker room. I think the ultimate leaders in this team are eventually going to be some of these young guys like that we drafted, especially this year. I could be wrong, but it just seems like a group that was very was predetermined how they kind of wanted to premeditated how they wanted to approach this draft. But yeah, well, we've gone about an hour and 20 minutes. I know the Panthers game. Anybody tell me what's the score in the Panthers game? Are they winning?
0-0.
Okay, so good. You guys, you didn't miss anything joining us, right?
I mean,
Yep.
they'll win.
Yeah, we went. Yeah, we told the Panthers don't score yet till we're done, and then But we thank everybody who joined us. This was so fun. It brought up a great subject to light. I thought we approached it in the most positive way we can, but again, sometimes you got to speak your mind, tell it like it is. If you don't like some, it is what it is. You can't play down the middle all the time. So, for myself, before I go, I want you guys. We'll start with you, Jonathan. What you tell everybody where they can find you and kind of find your Dolphin rants and takes, and soon hopefully your YouTube
Soon YouTube channel. But on X, I'm always tweeting. sharing people's stuff. Honorary Titan on X. So
Check him out. Good guy and
Yeah.
good stuff.
yes, sir.
Sammy.
Well, first I want to thank. I saw some love on the chat too for Prince TV. So those who asked,
Oh,
wait,
where is it? Did I miss
wait.
that? Where,
yeah, go back. There's a couple of people
Yeah,
asking where
let's-
Prince TV.
let's get
there
some
was-
support
There
for
was
Prince.
there was some love in
Wait.
the chat.
where-
There was some love in
can't-
the chat. Again, we're gonna go back. Doing content is hard. I refuse myself to do a show every single week if I don't think that the content and the topics are up to par for what we do. It's hard. I commend George for doing it every single week, but for me, I just can't do it. So we're a segmented topic show, so we need at least 5 topics to talk about on one show.
Yeah.
So that's why we're not back. So
Yeah.
But we're gonna be back on June 10th, where the Fins TV Dolphins summer preview. We're gonna talk about the schedule. We haven't talked about the schedule. We'll have to talk, the Ramsey saga finally ended. We're gonna look forward, and we're gonna have some guests. So hopefully, you guys will be there. And
Of course.
I have been talking to George. And we're talking about.
Oh yes, go ahead. Yeah.
Talking about season content, and we're gonna start a new venture on Fins TV. I'm gonna have what it's gonna be called Fins TV Spotlight. Again, so many good content creators, great content creators, so many fans, super fans, great fans who do so much for the community. So they also deserve to be highlighted. So we're gonna do what's gonna Fins TV Spotlight. We're gonna be highlight super fans, great fans who do so much for the community. I'm not gonna divulge the list of who are really great, but we have five,
Yeah.
include six.
Just tell-
Include Jason. But-
hey, just tell him Omar Kelly, Joe Shad.
Again, kudos to Joe Shad, who blocked me like 3 years ago. He blocked me.
Oh.
So kudos to Joe Shad. But no, if Omar's more than welcome. He wants to talk Dolphins. He wants to talk about his career. And
I'm just kidding.
I will be more than welcome him. I have no beef.
Yeah.
It's safe for
No, I
Joe
know.
Shad.
We like all these guys, man. They all bring something to the table. I'm not, they all have everybody has their strengths and weaknesses, and again, I don't know any of these guys personally. That's why I didn't get involved. I've never spoken to them. I've never had a conversation, so I respect everybody who does their thing. But yeah,
so many great fans. We're going to talk about the charities they support, the community work, their passion. Wow, when they start becoming Dolphins, when that peak moment on their fandom. So many things to talk about. Of course, the current things about the Dolphins. So Fins TV Spotlight probably will premiere around mid-June, probably the 17th of June or the 23rd.
Yeah. That's awesome. You guys got to check him out over there. I'm sure I'll be on again. Jason's on there on pretty much every show, right, Jason? You guys are. I stole Jason for different days, but but anyway,
I
mean,
love
look,
going on with those guys.
Yeah.
Sammy, you do a great job. You're the Scorsese of the Dolphins community with your videos. It's amazing what you do with your work. I love it. Anytime.
Yeah. And you could see a Fins post production on my intro, right? Is that in the works?
Well, we're diversifying. We're doing it for Ready Day Pod. I'm doing some other stuff. So again, it's putting your effort where your mouth is.
Yeah, we're working behind the scenes, right? So, I mean, we got
as soon as you make your mind and ended up 2 projects that we're working on, we'll start working on it.
All right, and eventually, like with us here on the Fins of the podcast, eventually we're going to wrap up the season 1, right? And we'll bring it back. But Jason is still going to be on with me. I don't know if it's going to be on the Monday show. We'll just change the title. Will change because we want to keep that from when that off season comes. The on season is coming, and so we'll let you know about when our last episode will be and kind of all that stuff comes to that. But he'll still be on here regardless. Probably on the Mondays if you can. We haven't discussed it yet, but we will. But Jason, tell everybody what you got going on, where they can follow you. Any articles besides what we got going on here.
Yeah, no, Jason_Sarny over on X.com and Dolphins Wire. Tomorrow, just a couple of questions going on into the OTAs, so obviously the pads don't come on, just some organized team activities, but good time to start talking some questions, some roster holes, and there'll be an article out on Dolphins Wire tomorrow morning.
Costa, don't worry.
All right.
Jason Sarny is Fins faithful family. He's locked up, signed. Signed.
Yeah.
Not on Tuesday.
The deal?
Okay. Sorry.
Jason's not going anywhere in here. I don't think he's. I think, right? Who knows?
You guys
But
are
I
too
mean,
kind.
yeah.
I'm gonna have to get personal notes to start facing Dame Jason. Please don't have to go to the bank.
Appreciate
NIL,
you.
yeah, NIL.
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 Hey,
All
yo.
right, Kosa, shh. We're not there yet. We're not there. All right,
See, that's why I'm not monetized, because I monetize, I have to give it up to Jason. So that's I just can't.
Stop.
all right. Well, thank
He
you guys.
deserves it.
Yeah, no. All you guys are great. Sammy, don't sell yourself short. Jonathan, you're going to be on here again. You're a part of the
Yes, sir.
the Vince Faithful family, and whatever will help you out, whatever you need once you get your channel started. And of course, Jason, we'll see each other. We'll be talking, and coming up with some crazy ideas to put on the show. And we thank everybody. Happy Memorial Day, everybody who joined us. You guys can get back. We'll tell the Panthers to score and get back. As always, guys, stay Fins faithful and Fins up. We're out.
Go Panthers.
Fins up.
Let's go.
Panthers.